Well, hello everybody, welcome back down into the dungeon garden for the full look at everything that's growing on down here. There are quite a few things going on. As we can clearly see, these tomatoes in that little produce tray they're going insane. They need to be trimmed or moved or something, but we'll get to all that in due course. I figure we'll start under the big purple light back over here, see how all those peppers are doing, and yeah, just take it from there. But first of all, we've got to have our gratuitous ladybug shot. Working away on the mint. Yeah, they do seem to love that mint, I tell you what. Alright, let's kill this light. Slowly transition back over. It doesn't really show us much, but it's more of a natural lighting, so here we can see the red demons doing alright. All these ahis. Surprisingly, much darker off the camera than it would appear right now. So, I need to get some different light before we carry on with this. Well, moving that one ceiling light bulb helped a little bit, but not a whole lot. So we'll look at a few of the peppers here. Here's that carbonaro. That was one of the first ones to sprout up for me out of the 72 cell tray. It seems to be doing alright. A few of these things are getting a little bit of growth on them here. That's the chocolate moruga. Really enjoyed that in that one batch of brownies that I made. It'd be nice to have some more of that to play with. Scanning over a bit, we've got some that are definitely suffering. This poor white dwarf pepper here. The aphids are on it, but you know, I come by, I do the shakes, see what I can do to save them. This paper lantern. Looking alright. Decent shape to it anyway. Not too deformed by pest damage. What are these guys here? Hot lemons. Alright, still a little on the small side and clearly quite light, so I've got to come through here and do a deep watering. Got a couple of candy apples back here, which is good because the one over here has just gotten itself a humidome. It's flopped over today. Not quite sure why, but yeah, just decided it's no longer with us. Let's take a look at this ahi Guyana here. Doubt there's anything coming out of the bottom there yet. No. There was one the other day that I noticed on this row though. Yeah, this one here. What pepper is that? It's the ahi lemon drop. So that will definitely be moving into a Folgers can sometime in the next few days. Would like it to look, you know, as robust as those ones along the back. Although that said, this looks a little wilty. I suppose I should check and see how its water level is doing while we're down here. This cute little one. It's the chocolate bootla. It's another one of those peppers. I really want to see it grow, but I'm afraid to see it grow, but I want to see it grow. Yeah, that's very light, that ahi panic. I'm not hearing a lot of liquid moving in there. But we can see that this one is starting to throw out an awful lot of flowers for me. Got a few that are open there. Got a couple that look like they're aged. A few ladybugs working it. So that's good. Beside it, what do we have here? I think the next one here is a super chili. That's still got some water weight to it. How are we doing? Lots of flowers forming on this. Again, the super chili is a nice, really productive pepper. Once it starts to put out, it will do quite well. And Alex, you were asking about the St. Thomas Bane. It's very similar to a super chili. Pretty sure that's what crossed with the Bolivian rainbows in the first place to make those. So once it does start putting out peppers for you, it should be fairly productive. I mean, look at how well this one is doing, and I think we all know just how much these plants have suffered down in this ridiculous prairie basement. So, if we're going to check 2, we might as well check 3, see how this crimson red is doing. Pepper's still hanging on the bottom there. Hasn't really grown much, not really taking much color. A couple of ladybugs on here, so clearly it's still a very infested plant. That doesn't look like a healthy flower. Would be nice if this put on a few more little actual pepper pods for me. But all things considered, it's still alive. It's got one. I'm actually pretty happy about that. Snow's only just really starting to melt outside now, so that is definitely more production than I should have. Got the scrap of Siberian home pepper here. Feels very light. Those roots are not looking amazing. Some new ones coming out of the bottom of the cup though. Of course, ladybugs on there. Gonna have to check that once the proper light is back on. I suspect the water level might be a little low in that. Might be time to full on change it out. We'll just have to see about that. Sahi Peruvian. I was hopeful for a little while there, but that is just not coming back. Move this chocolate naga brain over. I don't know what to make of this little guy, so I leave it and I hope, like I do with so many things. Got a nice Sugar Rush cream back here. Decent leaf development for around this place. I wonder if we've got roots coming out of the bottom yet. Really like to get one of these into the coffee cans. The Sugar Rush variety seem to be so productive for most folks. Wouldn't mind hitching onto that wagon myself. The Ring of Fire I was noticing earlier. Zoom in there a bit. Too far? Well, they're not showing up on the camera. This camera is pretty old. I'm surprised it does as well as it is. But anyway, there are some flowers starting to form on there. Haven't checked the roots in a while, but we've got some decent growth there. So that is good. That is good. The tomato jungle, this is going absolutely crazy. Basically every day now I have to turn this tray around and they'll flop back over. But I was noticing on a lot of these, as the dog flops directly on the kitchen floor above me, there seem to be flowers forming in a lot of these tomatoes as well. So I'm probably going to have to start doing some snipping and clipping here soon. Got a lot of offshoots on some of these, so I'm not too worried like with this one topping it. It's a red pear, so I guess I'll probably top it and plunk it into some soil, try and make another one. It's not a new tomato variety though, right? So it still counts as keeping my word. I'm just rooting cuttings. That's totally different. But it has gotten crazy here, and it's really just shading out everything else beside it on the table, even when I spin it. So, alright, watch your eyes. Here comes the light. Blast. At least I warned you. And there we go. Alright. Much brighter. Strange spectrum, but definitely brighter. So hopeful for so many of these. And yet so many of them are just, you know, the only one of that variety, so they're never going to see outside. The tomatoes, on the other hand, I'm not keeping these inside. As soon as I can put them out, I am putting them out. So speaking of tomatoes, we'll step over here. Take a look at what's growing on under these little spot lamps. These tomatoes are going crazy, and if you recall, this is the one where we have some actual flowers that I'm letting stay. I believe that's a broad ripple yellow currant tomato, but it's kind of hard to get in there and find out. I got a Manitoba variety in front of it. That's looking great. You know what? Let's just take a second. We'll pull the tray and we'll take a closer look at some of these individual plants in the jungle itself. Wow, the shelf looks so naked and spacious now. So we've got this sitting down here. Hopefully it's not going to fall on me. But, you know, you take your chances in the garden world, don't you? This monster, yeah, flopping over because it doesn't have a lot of stem support on its own. It's a sweet 100. If I recall correctly, I believe that's supposed to be a nice cherry tomato, so that'll be good. Which means I can also probably safely clip it because I believe I see suckers forming in those stem areas. So that's good. Cut it down a bit, strengthen it up a bit, hopefully. What do we have here? A bush beefsteak. It's kind of being dwarfed out by its friends here. Beside it, we've got another bush beefsteak. Got a few of those apparently. This is the one I wanted to find out about in the first place. This is one of the broad ripple yellow currant tomatoes. Originally, Rob Bob sent me the seeds for these years ago. And they have been very productive in both locations, so that is delightful to be able to keep on growing those. Let's see, what do we have in the little styrofoam cup here? It's a celebrity hybrid. Doing alright. Kind of wanted to take a better look at the individual plants, but with the way this is kind of balanced on my big old worm bin there, and the way this one plant has kind of flopped over, I just don't know if I want to mess with the puzzle until I take it outside. Because tomatoes are fine if they get a little leggy. You can just plant them deeper. Every single one of those little hairs along the stem does everything it can to become a root, and you end up with a stronger plant. No big deal. It'd be nice if you could do that with everything that goes leggy, but you know, I'll take it from the tomatoes at least. Alright, close up the camera, and then we'll get to that shelf there. Seems like so much shelf space until you put those tomatoes back in there, and then bam, encroaching, blocking out the light. It's amazing that these peppers back here have even survived with as little light as they get. We've got this one paper lantern. I'm still torturing this. It's still in its water bottle bottom. Not seeing any signs of it being totally root bound, so it will struggle on. A couple more super chilies here. I've been clipping them back a little bit, trying to delay the flowering on them, but there's only so much I can do. They're persistent. This little ahi panic here is looking very nice still. In general, these styrofoam cups do not seem to be working out very well for the peppers. I've lost a lot of the various peppers that were transplanted into them, but these three still seem to be hanging on. The Matchbox, the Grandpa's Siberian, and the paper lantern again. It's supposed to be a nice productive habanero variety, so I'm very hopeful with that. Got one of the ahi panics. No roots coming out of that yet, but the plant itself is looking nice. And I think this is the one that's got the roots coming out of the bottom. Yeah, of course. But neither one of these are destined to stay inside. One will be heading into one of those cloth planters for sure. And the other probably into the ground right beside it, so I can do a bit of a comparison. I don't know. I just don't know. Got a few of them. Might just do a panic patch somewhere. Put them with the rhubarb this year, perhaps. I was out looking at that today, and I haven't seen any signs of life coming up from it yet. But here we have the hollow lettuce. I did water it. It is perking back up. I think the stuff on the bottom I should probably just cut off. But that is still one of the strangest things I've ever seen, trying to regrow something from the store. Down here we've got the PVC LEDs and the garden that hardly ever gets watered. Little Scotch Brain is putting out some true leaves, so it's looking a little bit better, a little healthier. I think this is another one of the Sugar Rushes. What is this? Sugar Rush Cream. Double cupping it in the styrofoam to see if I can get any roots coming out. Still nothing. Plant itself looks nice though, so I'll be looking forward to putting that one outside. A couple sand dollars, couple red demons, and then we've got the mystery tomato over there. And following along and up in our kind of pathway here, we got some of the ahi fantasies. These are from the snack bag seed collection. They seem to be doing alright aside from that one, a little floppy. A couple ahi fantasies behind it there. That one purple freak beside it. So I believe this is the straight 8 cucumber. Yeah. Seems to be doing okay. A little on the stunted side, but that's life. It's in a basement. These pumpkins, I'm hoping they make it another month or so before I can take them outside, but starting to get more true leaves on a few of these things. The mouse melons are always super slow to start, but they are worth the wait and the effort. They are so adorable. I really hope you guys get a chance to see those. If you want to play it safe, go check back on some of my videos before we moved, and I did very well with the mouse melons there. These dill are starting to get some of their true leaves in there, so definite signs that I should have transplanted them already. That almost looks like it's a type of sage. I think I may have misplanted that. Ah! Knocking over my cabbage. This is not good. So I've got some watering and some tidying to do. Oh yeah, okay, that is the sage. Excellent. Always happy to have more sage around. With the zucchini in the back there. Looks like it's going to be a sprawler. That's good. Spaghetti squash seems to be doing alright. And then under these jars, we have the ahi penic cuttings that got that little bit of powder on the stem. And there seems to be, of course, some infestation going on there. Not good. Can't say that looks particularly great either. Alright, so I'm going to have to try shaking these out over the fish tank. Hopefully I won't dislodge the cutting. They are looking pretty sad and wilty, but I honestly don't know what to expect. So, looking at the mint cutting back there, of course it's doing well. That's what mint does. The oregano is looking very sad. I don't necessarily have the best success rate with oreganos, but I keep trying anyway. A couple more of those tomatoes here. This is the black Vernisace or Sashi or something like that. Vernisage, Sage. I never knew when I got into gardening that linguistics would be such a big part of that. My little early Canada improved watermelons. You can almost see true leaves forming in the middle of two of those. So I'm going to remain hopeful. Here we have those anchocha cucumbers, the ones that look like basically the sea cucumbers. They're putting their little tendrils out everywhere, grabbing onto, what are they attached to here? Oh, the wire for the heat mat. Alright, we'll take that. Move you guys a little further away. Looking up at the bad brains. These guys were just about to sprout out the other day, and sure enough, 4 for 4. Alright, I think I'm going back to the paper towel method for seed sprouting. Seems to be working. These tomatoes from the other day, I think it's probably far too early to have anything coming up there. So yes, things on the seed tray, or table. It's a mighty big tray there, Mr. Bear. But yeah, things on the seed table seem to be coming along fairly well. Still haven't transplanted these last couple of peppers out, or the unpronounceable tomato, but clearly I need to get to that soon, judging by the dill and the sage back there. So soon enough, we spin over to the aquaponic garden here. Look at that. And it's wonderful how much of that is growing based on the strength of fish waste. I love aquaponics. It's truly the ultimate lazy man's garden. Looking at the ahi penic, this is one of our survivors from last year. I just rudely grabbed it out of the ground, cleaned off the dirt, shoved it in. Back when this was a hydroponic garden, somehow it survived all of that. And ever since the fish have been in here, I mean, you can see, well, basically you can see where the cut line was, and all of this is in the last couple of months. Another ladybug hard at work in the garden. Down at its base though, we've got a couple of kale there. Lots of kale in this that are just kind of resting on the bed. That Indian Jwala clearly didn't make it. Moment of silence. And we get back to it. Alright. Beside that here though, we've got the green onions, and yeah, these mints are going insane. I was going to cut these back, what, last week, and I still haven't done it yet, so that's clearly my failing there. But we got that one tomato over there, getting quite lanky. Not quite sure what I'm going to do about that, but its kale companions seem to be doing alright. And yeah, I can't see much here because of the mint. So we'll pull this back. I want to see how those kale are doing. Those kale seem to be doing just fine. That's excellent. With so many of these kale and the warming trend in the weather right now, I am seriously toying with the idea of bringing a lot of at least the dino kales outside, because if I recall they were surprisingly somewhat stronger than the Russian red kale, more cold tolerant. So I'm thinking maybe I'll move some of them out, get some nice sizable ones, and we'll just start testing the weather. In theory, spring started a month ago, right? Got the oregano down here, seems to be doing alright. That fly trap is pretty darn full though. Not quite sure where the rest of those went, so I haven't replaced those as well as I should. I'm going to have to write them off as just plain gone soon though, and go out and buy more. Alright, so we'll turn off this light for a natural look at the Sugar Rush Red. Finally starting to show signs of life, and I'm really glad I didn't quite give up on that one. Yellow Scorpion beside it, again crowded out by the mint that I was going to cut back. I keep telling myself I see new life on there, but none of it ever seems to really amount to much, so it's getting harder to stay excited about that one. Nepalese Belle, I think that might be new life. Might be a little bit up there. Again, it could be like the Yellow Scorpion. I could just be fooling myself. Or it could turn out to be like the Sugar Rush Red here that waited forever to come back. Or the El Oro de Ecuador that is clearly alive and well. So, I think I should probably turn this one. It's getting a little lopsided with its leaf growth there. But as you can see, you know, the typical YouTuber, as you can see in my garden show and tell here. But this El Oro is coming back. It's doing quite well. I'm very hopeful that we'll get some fruit off of this, and I can send them out to a couple of folks in the community. The sand dollar back here, look at that. Look at that. Did you think you'd see such a large leaf on this plant after I cut it back so bad? I sure didn't. I thought this was a goner for sure. So happy about that. Doesn't look like much now, but that used to be a monster plant. And back here we've got a whole bunch more chard. I think I'm probably going to wait a little while before I send them out. I don't think they're quite as cold tolerant as the kale is. And here we have some tomatoes looking like they desperately need to be watered. So yeah, I've definitely got to come around here with the water bucket. No great surprise. Every couple of days, basically, something or most things need to be topped up. Let's throw the light back on for this, so I'll stop the clip first. And that's basically the state of where things are growing on down here in the basement. A lot of it's looking pretty good, some of it's looking pretty sketchy, but for the most part, this is a really good, strong start to the garden season for me, and I am really excited about it. I know to a lot of people it doesn't necessarily look like it's a huge start to the garden, and I know when I put it outside it's not necessarily going to fill as much of it as I had hoped, but I do have a lot of plants that I want to, like root crops and stuff, that you kind of got to do straight out into the garden. We were talking about maybe converting 1, 2, 3 of those smaller beds into a single long strip, well, like a row type bed instead of my individual square foot style planting. So we're going to see how that does with root crops, because we were stalking our property on Google Earth and we found out that some previous owners had done their garden that way, and it looked great. It looked absolutely fabulous. So I would like very much to have a garden that looked that good. Anywho, that's probably enough rambling for today. Tomorrow's my me day, and somebody's doing dishes apparently. Anyway, tomorrow's my me day, and I was thinking on Tuesday when we come back we might talk about the fact that I am trying to turn this into my full-time gig. So maybe we would explore some of the things that I'm planning on doing to try and improve my YouTube channel and just grow my subscriber base, and you know, maybe some of it will be useful to you guys as well who are also trying to grow channels. So it could be a good conversation in those comments. So yeah, hope you have a great Sunday. Have an absolutely fantastic Monday. You know, go against society. Be excited about Monday. I am. And I will see you guys on Tuesday.